I, my name, okay. So I want my screen. Good evening, this members. Once again, and I'll be reviewing incidents and relative abundant rice numbers in 3 selected rice fields in Lagos, Ogun State, Nigeria. Outline. Introduction. Rice numbers are a major group of insects that bores into rice tillers and feed and develop with tillers throughout their larval and their pupal stages. They undergo complete metamorphosis, and larval stage is the only destructive stage within the developmental stages. They are responsible for dead heart and white symptoms, and the dead heart is a
Please, let's be patient. She's logged out, so I think her network is not too good. So I believe she will join shortly. Thank you.
Apologies, please, my network. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, Doc, we can hear you, but we can't see
you're
your slide. I can't see your slide.
Okay. I think network, please just hold your share. I'm going to turn on audio so resume share. Okay.
I think she's logged out again. She will come in. Please bear with us.
My sincere apologies. The
Adewoye,
network
please.
is a bit
Okay.
fluctuating.
Maybe you should not try not to on your video. Don't on your video. Hello, Dr. Adewoye.
Okay. I can hear you. I can hear you.
I think your network is not stable. So don't just off the video.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
I can't, no.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, Doc, I can hear you. I can hear you, but you are yet to share your screen.
Yes, I'm on it, please. I'm sorry, the network is a bit bad here.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Now.
I don't know, maybe if I'm the one not saying. Please, is any other person having the same?
It's still
It's not showing. It's not showing. Okay, showing. Yes.
It's showing.
But now put it in presenter's view. Make it full. Hello.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I think it's just an overlap from the top, not here.
Yeah, I think you. You know, you on the slideshow mode. Go to right. Yeah.
Good. Yes, yes, good. Perfect.
All right. Apologies for the network. Okay, I will be reviewing incidence and relative abundance of rice stem borer, 3 selected fields in Nigeria. And here is my outline. Introduction. Rice stem borers are a group of eggs that fall into rice tillers. In the tillers, they feed, they develop within the tillers, and throughout their larval, they live within the tillers throughout larval stages. They undergo complete metamorphosis, and we have 2 major orders of insects that rice stem borers, which are the Diptera. We have the true flies, the Diptera, and the other moth. For dead heart and whitehead symptoms in rice tiller. We have the damage description. During the phase, we have the dead heart symptoms within the rice plants. The borer attack the central wall of the new leaf by feeding on the central shoot of the new leaf. So this rice stem borers, majorly, they attack the base of the leaf, such that they abort the translocation of nutrients to the new leaf, so the leaf ends up drying off and it's termed dead heart. Damage at this stage, that is during the vegetative phase, can be compensated by the rice or by the new leaves growing from other parts of the rice shoot. So, and this occurs only during the tillage. Also, white symptoms during the reproductive phase in rice plants. This aborts the panicle development. This aborts the panicle development of grain filling process within rice fields, within rice plants, pardon me. And it causes uniformly empty and panicles such as
I think she lost
sorry,
her
it's
network.
loading again.
No, if you have a second device, can you set up your second device? It could be your phone. And then you just use this one for projection and speak through the phone. It will be better that way. The network is very unstable at your end. I can see it from my end.
Hello, Dr. Dewoye, can you hear the advice? Hello, Dr. Dewoye.
I'm with you.
Okay. Can you just, are you using your laptop to join? And at the same time for the voice, maybe you can use your laptop for projecting. Then you also set up your phone to help with the voice. I can't hear you. Hello, everyone. Sorry for she's having some technical issues, and she requested I would give her a few minutes. She's trying to set up um another device, so please bear with us. So sorry.
Okay, Doc, in the meantime, you can also do it this way. You can request for her PPT to project from your end while she speaks to it without bothering her network because her bandwidth is very low. If she can
Okay.
share her PPT with you, project from your end, or you can
I'm
resend
actually
it to me.
okay. Let me send to you. Let me because I'm actually using her phone. Let me ask her.
I'm using if Dr. is
Dr.
fine,
Anayo.
she can. Yeah.
Dr. Anayo.
Yes, ma.
Keep on, Tiberi, what's the problem?
Sadewaye, please can you share your slide with me? Let's project from here. Hello, if you can hear me, please just send to me.
Yes,
we'll project.
I will do that. I'm on it, please.
Okay, thank you. Just send it through WhatsApp. Then let me forward it to.
That will be so bad here. So different devices. Okay. Dr. Nay, have you received it, please?
No, yet to receive it. Yet to receive it on my WhatsApp.
Sorry, everyone. I think this is one of the issues maybe you and I will need to address as researchers in Africa. How do we improve our digital infrastructure? So those of who are in the IT field, let's find a way because it's becoming something else. It's not only in Nigeria, but across the continent. Internet connectivity is becoming a problem these days.
Is it showing now? I think the network is showing now.
Yes, we can see. We can see from here. If we can put it in print. Press 5 for the Windows. Okay, that's it. That's okay. Okay.
Pardon?
Thank you. Please carry on.
Okay, sir. So we have the dead heart symptoms, which is commonly seen during the vegetative phase, and rice stem borers attack the central wall of the new leaf. So we have, due to the attack, the leaf of this because of the abortion of the translocation of nutrients from the central shoots, and this causes dead heart. The damage during the vegetative phase can be compensated because the plants can regenerate another part. More leaves will be produced during the tillering phase, and this occurs only during the vegetative phase. But for the whitehead symptoms, which occurs during the reproductive phase in rice plants, it aborts the panicle development or grain filling process, which also is as a result of the abortion of the translocation of food and nutrients across the tillers, and this causes the uniformly empty and chaffy panicles, which is termed whitehead. This damage is, however, permanent. It is not reversible and occurs during the panicle initiation and the grain filling stage. So rice stem borers species complex composition and abundance varies across rice varieties, growth stages, locations, years of planting, countries, and also planting seasons. And we have few examples which the species could differ across continents. We have the Diopsis macrothalma, we have Diopsis epicalis, we have Diopsis longicornis. These are stalked eye flies. And we also have the Chilo species. The Chilo species are the striped stem borer. We have the Malleafa separatella, which is commonly called the African white stem borer. We have another white stem borer across the continent, and they have different names, but they all look similar. We have the Sapophaga species, and we have the Sesamia calamistis as well, which is the pink stem borer. Statement of problem. Rice stem borers remains a major group of insects that infest rice fields globally. Till now, there is no known rice variety totally resistant to the attacks. In Nigeria, we have varying degrees of infestations ranging from 22% to 100% and has been reported across different rice variety except in Ofada rice. The yield in Ofada rice generally is abysmally low, and we know that we rarely have it year-round in Nigeria. We have it at a particular time, and over a period of time, it becomes a bit scarce and more expensive compared to the general farrow varieties we have. And this is as a result of the activities of rice stem borers. The occurrence, the composition, the infestation levels, and factors favorable for their proliferation in selected Ofada rice fields are generally unknown. So the aim of this study is to assess the incidence of rice stem borer infestations and the composition present in the selected Ofada rice fields. And the objectives are to determine the incidence of rice stem borers in the selected Ofada rice field, to assess the relative abundance of rice stem borer species, to evaluate the effect of location on rice stem borer species, to assess the effect of rice plants growth stages on rice stem borer, and also to evaluate the effect of planting times on rice stem borer species. The significance of this study is that it will help in determining appropriate measures for managing rice stem borer infestations. And this study would serve as a baseline information in the selection of sites for rice or further rice production among farmers. Then I have few definition of terms here. We have the tillers, which means the shoots. We have the tillers, tillers means the shoots that grow after the initial parent shoot grows from a seed. Then we have the panicles. We have the top part of the rice plant that bears the paddy, on the internode, and we have the dead heart. This is the drying out of the central tiller shoot during the tillering phase. We also have the whitehead, which I've explained earlier, which is the white chaffy on-field empty panicles, which occurs during the reproductive phase. We also have the eel. It's a single plant with certain number of tillers that constitute a rice eel. Materials and methods. We have three major rice agroecosystems here. We have the Hopland rice field in Agbajege. Here, it is totally dependent on rain, and contrary to popular beliefs that rice can only be planted in lowlands, we have some varieties like this of Ofada rice, which is Funabo 1 variety, can be planted as upland variety. So here there are no paddies. The soil is dark and loamy in nature, and the residents here are predominantly farmers. The elevation above sea level is 125 meters. Then we have the rain-fed lowland in Itoikin, Lagos State. Here we have the field bonds for water retention, and we have the flood depth ranging from about 35 to 160 centimeters. Then the elevation here is about 6 meters above the sea level. We also have the residents. Residents here are farmers and farm produce sellers. In mangrove swamp in Igugu rice field, in this mangrove swamp, it is totally dependent on rain. It is always saturated with water ranging from a depth of 40 to 100 centimeter depth, and the water here is flowing. There are no standing floods here. And the soil here is sandy loamy. The influx of varying salinity from the lagoon is also was also observed during collection. The elevation here is 5 meters above sea level. 5 or 6. Figure 1 shows the map of Lagos and Ogun State, showing the selected rice farms. The rice variety used for this study is Feather Gold. According to Shoemo et al. 2011, we have it as for number 1, and it takes about 105 days for it to develop. And the rationale for selection is that it's grown successfully in the selected agro ecosystems and mostly preferred by indigenous farmers due to high demand, indigenous variety, less competition, and premium price. The planting dates were solely chosen by the farmers. There is no other influence on that. Then, of course, we needed to align it with when the rain started. So some were planted almost immediately when the rain started, and some, though overlapping with the early planted rice, some were planted maybe like a month or 2 months after the early planted rice. Here we have an estimation for the incidence of rice stem borer, which was done at 60 days after planting, and for the white-head symptoms, it was observed at 80 and 95 days also after planting. And we have the diversity of rice stem borers in the rice tillers, which is also expressed as shown above. The data were analyzed for the incidence of rice stem borer. It was analyzed using the independent t-test, and a 3-way ANOVA also was used to check the effect of location, growth, and planting times on rice stem borer population using the Origin Pro software. And the post-hoc test was done using Tukey Honesty significant test results. For the objective 1, which is to determine the incidence of rice stem borer, this has to do with the symptoms. So here we have plate 1A to D showing the plate 1A showing what a dead heart symptom looks like. And plate 1B shows the whitehead symptom at panicle initiation stage. And when we open up the tillers, this is what it looks like in plate 1C. And a healthy rice panicle is also shown in plate 1D. Figure 3 shows the incidence of rice stem borer during the early and late planting seasons in 2018. We have the dead heart, which was observed during the vegetative phase. In Itoikin and Agbajege, there was no significant difference between the ones that were planted early and those that were planted late. But in Igbogun, there was a significant difference between the early planted and the late planted for the vegetative phase. Now, for the reproductive phase, same sequence was also observed. There was no significant difference between the rice planted during the early and late planting season in Itoikin and Agbajege, while there was significant difference between the rice planted during the early and late planting seasons in Igbogun, which is the mangrove swamp. Same sequence was also observed during the vegetative phase in the year 2018. The early and late planted rice in Igbogun were significantly different from each other, but there was no significant difference during the whitehead, during the reproductive phase for the whitehead symptoms as shown in figure 3B. Objective 2, to assess the relative abundance of rice stem borer species. Here we have plate 2 showing the first step to do. That is, when you open up the tillers, the next thing is to identify the larva or the larvae that are found in the tillers. So plate 2A shows the morphotaxonomic keys of Chilos zirconius, which was determined or reported by Measurement and Uhlenberg in 1996. So we have the arrangement of the setae or the crochet on their pro-abdominal legs of the larva as shown in the picture using the red arrow. We have it forming an incomplete circle. While when we open up the tillers for the plate 2B, you have the arrows showing the stripes. That's the first thing we see before we identify and use the, before using the taxonomic keys to classify them, because you have several species of rice stem borer that has stripes the same way, but they are different morphologically. Then plate 3 also shows the, this is Sesamia calamistis, the pink stem borer. Here we have the arrangement of the crochet forming on the pro legs of Sesamia calamistis in a uniordinal mesoseries, just forming a curve. But when we open the tillers, the first thing to see is the pink color, which is shown in B. Figure 4 shows the relative abundance of the rice stem borer species. Here we have the Chilos zirconius and also the Sesamia calamistis. We have higher population of striped stem borer, which is Chilos zirconius here, and while we have lower population of pink stem borer. So the total population of this rice stem borer is shown here. We have Chilos zirconius to be about 89% in population, and Sesamia is about 11% in population. So here, objective 3 talks about the effect of location on rice stem borer species. Table 3 shows the effect of location on the rice stem borer species. Here in Itoikin, which is the lowland rice field, the population of Chilos zirconius was significantly different from that found in Agbajege, which is an upland rice field, while Sesamia preferred Agbajege to Itoikin and was significantly different in terms of the population. Objective 4 shows the effect of plant growth stages on rice stem borer species. Again, during the maximum tillering phase, we have Chilos zirconius to be significantly different in terms of the number. The population found during the maximum tillering phase was more than that of the maturity phase and was significantly different from each other. Sesamia was not present during the maximum tillering phase in most of the tillers that were incised, but they were more during the maturity phase. Then we have the effect of rice planting season on rice stem borer. Here we have table 5 showing effect of rice planting seasons on rice stem borer species. So we have the early and late planted rice. For the populations, there was no significant difference across the populations. Summary of findings. The seasonal form fluctuations, the late planting season had a significantly higher incidence of rice stem borers in Igbogun. That means if you plant later than the early one, if you plant after the first set of rice have been planted, you are most likely going to have a higher incidence of rice stem borer. But there was no significant difference in Agbajege and Itoikin, like I said earlier. Then for the stem borer populations, there were more Chilos zirconius across the 3 study sites, and we also have on the locations. For the locations, Itoikin had a significantly higher population of Chilos, probably due to water, probably due to the standing floods associated with this area. And we have Agbajege had a higher population of Sesamia calamistis, which prefers upland rice field because they are lower tiller feeders. Then we also have the growth stages. For the growth stages, Chilos zirconius and Sesamia calamistis were higher at the maturity phase, and they were lower, and they were significantly different from each other. Of course, they were lower during the maximum tillering phase. For the planting times, populations of Chilos zirconius and Sesamia calamistis had no significant difference between the early and late planting planted rice for both seasons. The contributions to knowledge, we have Chilos aquinosus is the most abundant and destructive insect across the 3 Ofada rice agroecosystems in Lagos and Ogun State rice fields. Thank you for listening. The floor is
Wow.
open to-
Thank you very much, Dr. Adewoye. That was a very nice presentation. We enjoyed and so clear to me in particular. You're well done. Now I invite Dr. Ravi to anchor the question and answer session and to facilitate the question and answer session. Thank you. Dr. Ravi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. Thank you very much for this nice presentation. There were you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to, since we are running out of time, I think we can go for the question and answers. So as I don't see any questions in the chat box, so if anyone has any questions, you can directly probably raise your hand, or you can just ask questions.
We have one hand raised.
Dr. Ravi, there's
by
a
Dr.
hand raised.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kojo, Dr. Kojo.
No,
Yeah,
it's
so
Dr.
there-
Ifima. The hand is raised.
Yeah, so yeah, I think there is one question. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So yes,
Can
you
I
may
go
please,
ahead?
yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. There was an interesting review. So, but there's something that is making me a little bit confused. Well, I'm not. Should I say I'm not endemic to agriculture? You know, like that's not really my field. But in research, we have some ways we conduct research that is almost similar across courses and across fields. So please, can we go to like this, almost the first slide where you showed us the different properties of the different sites? Please, I want to ask a question from that angle. Different properties of different sites, the beginning, yes. No, let's keep going. To the beginning,
Okay.
is it at the beginning where you described how Itoken, Agbaje, and the other places look?
The study,
Yes,
the
I want
study
to-
site,
I think
yes.
this one.
No, the beginning is at the beginning. Actually.
No,
Eh,
the study
no,
site.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, it's at the
No,
beginning.
next.
Keep going back.
No, this is
Keep
the table
yes,
for
yes,
the
yes, yes.
description of
That
sites.
is it.
Yeah, this
Yes,
one.
here. Yes. You know, usually
Okay.
when we do our research, we try to keep a variable. You know, we can change a variable, but we keep other variables constant so that can we go back? Sorry. We keep other, can we go back to that table?
I'm human.
That
Yeah.
you are
I
you
think you
there?
should-
Yes, this
Okay,
table,
this
this
one.
table,
This one.
description of the study sites. That's what that's I want. Okay, so here, a lot of variables are changing. Elevation changes, totally rain dependent. The other one is, you see, this one is soil is dark and loamy in nature. The other one, clay soil with poor porosity. The other one, flowing water. I was thinking, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I would have thought that maybe, perhaps you say, no floods, soil is dark and loamy. The other ones will be flooded, but soil will also be dark and loamy in nature. The other one will be something of flowing water, but the soil will still be dark and loamy in nature. But all the variables are changing. So one cannot say exactly what is happening. That's how I feel. So
Okay.
you can educate me on that.
Thank you very much for that question. Now, we have different agro ecosystems where you can plant rice. You have the lowland rice, you have the upland rice, and you have the mangrove swamp. We have other types of agroecosystems. But when it comes to rice, generally, people assume that you must have floods. And that is why I brought in the description of these areas. That is one. Then secondly, for the soil across the three agroecosystems are completely different. Here in Agbajege is an upland field. The soil is dark and loamy in nature. In Itoiki, the soil here is clay with poor porosity. So you have the field made into bonds for water retention. Then in mangrove swamp is just beside the lagoon in Lekki, Bejuleki. So you have inflow of water. There is influx of varying salinity. Today you go to the field, it is high. Tomorrow it is dry. So this alternation also play key roles in the incidence of rice stem borers within the field. Then concerning the soil here, of course, the soil in mangrove swamp in the Gogun is soil in sandy and loamy. I don't know if I have answered the question.
Okay, so let me add to your response.
Sorry.
To that.
Yeah, I think Dr. Koza, your voice is breaking up. Could you please? Yeah.
Okay, so what I've understood from what you said is that the variables are actually upland, rain-fed lowland, and mangrove swamp. Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Just to make sure of what I've understood, mangrove swamp can never have a soil that is dark and loamy in nature.
It's a
For planting
it depends on what
rice.
you see. No, it depends on what you see. Whatever we see, we report. So here, the soil is sandy and loamy. It is also dark. I can actually add that. It's also dark because loamy soils are dark.
Okay, so maybe the variables are just upland, rain-fed lowland, and mangrove swamp. You know, because when you look at all these like this, it's as if there are so many variables that you did not stabilize and all, but it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just add to that. You know, these are naturally occurring fields. You don't have influence. You don't have influence on them. Like you could have upland rice fields that are clay in nature. Okay, you could have upland rice fields that are also sandy if there is irrigation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we needed to spell it out because of those variables.
I think, Doc, we have lost the beginning. So.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, your voice is breaking out in between.
Yes.
So, yes. So if you could please repeat it, that would be really great.
Okay, I should repeat my point.
Yes.
Okay, what I said initially was that when you have upland, we have different agro ecosystems, and these are naturally occurring soils. We cannot influence it. We cannot determine what we see in the field. It is what you see, you report. So the description of the locations are important because we could have, in some cases, you could see upland rice field. If you are practicing irrigation system in that field, you could have upland rice field that is sandy and loamy. So it depends on the area, it depends on the country, it depends on so many other factors. So it is important we describe the locations as it is.
Okay.
Okay.
I can come in with question now. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Dr. Kozo, your voice is breaking up. I think your voice is. Yeah, I think you have to adjust your microphone.
It's okay now.
Getting better.
can I just make another contribution? Sorry, this is Ifeoma Ekena still speaking.
Yes, doctor. Yeah, please.
Okay, yes. So I really don't know, I'm open to learning, but there's a graph where she has Itweke, she has Abajege, and she has Ibubu. I feel it may be better, though, as I said, it's just a suggestion. I feel it may be better if we just say upland, rain-fed lowland, and mango swamp. Let that just be the variable that is being carried throughout the research. I think it may be better.
Okay.
Yeah, all those places you wrote, yeah, just put it as upland, mangrove, and lowland. I think people will even catch it faster than putting the
Names of the
location.
location.
Yes.
That's okay. Noted, ma'am.
Hello, good evening. Okay, I just wanted to point out that this is a published research, I guess, Dr. Adewoye.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so if it's a published research, all those observation or correction may not apply at this stage, except if you are, publishing another research, similar research.
Noted, ma'am.
Because I can hear
Yeah.
corrections like, you understand? So it's it has already been published. She has published it this way. So correcting it, it doesn't apply. And that is not the essence of this review, actually.
Yeah, quite true.
Okay. Can I be heard now?
So shall I continue or?
Hear me now, Dr. Ravi.
Yeah, Dr. Adebayo, I have a question actually. So I'm little curious about this stem borers.
Okay.
Though I'm not from the same domain, but I'm from ecology and environmental science background. So I have a PhD in ecology and environmental sciences. So what I have seen is like, for example, in India, where you have like at least like to some degree the weather, the climatic factors.
Okay.
There are similar climatic factors over here. So in India also we have this stem borer infestation. So
Yes.
in most of the regions, and I'm little curious, like whether you have done any comparison in other tropical areas like India. So at least like, did you draw a parallel between these two, at least other tropical regions like in India, maybe possibly in Cambodia and other East Asian countries or Southeast Asia, for example. So
I didn't get your question clearly. In terms,
I'm-
are you talking about the climatic factors?
No, I'm asking whether you have, in fact, we have come across any studies similar to yours in Southeast Asia or South Asian countries, like in India
Yes.
or Cambodia, where you have
Thailand, Indonesia. Yes.
exactly,
Yes,
because I see rice is the main crop over in these places.
Yes.
So
Yes.
main food crop. So I'm just asking out of my curiosity. I just wanted to know.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I have another work on that. I looked at that's for India, or generally, let me say globally, and that's another research on its own actually. So I compared the rice stem borers phylogenetically using molecular tools. So that's another work on its own. However, we have different striped stem borer that are peculiar to each continent, each cities, each country, and they change like yearly. There are different variables there. So for India, I know we have Chilo patellus, we have Chilo supercillis, and the likes. And in some places, you have more of yellow stem borer, the Sapophaga species. So there are many. We can't bring them together except you look at the molecular tools to look at how related or how how different they are morphologically and also molecularly. I have a work on that, which I'm still working.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing those insights. Okay, so any questions or any comments?
Okay, I think I have a question here. My own question is that I want to know, just for information's sake, that can this seasonal variation help or contribute to the control of this pest Tilo species?
Okay. I will say yes, but there are so many factors to bring in. Now, we need to understand that in this part of the world, we depend on rainfall solely. So if you depend on rainfall, you are still going to have an overlapping cycle irrespective of the time you plant. Okay, so we have the early planted rice and you have the late planted rice. It would have been better or would have had more comparison if the farmers are into irrigation, but they are not into irrigation. So that would have been for the dry season, but we do not have the dry season here. We don't plant rice down south here during the dry season. So it's just the rainy season. So we have an overlap. However, there's also another research on the effect of temperature rainfall to see how we can manipulate it and see if there is a severe difference in the occurrence, the abundance and distribution as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ademoye.
Okay.
Ravi, I raised my hand up, but you're not calling me. I don't know whether you are not checking to the chat box. Can I ask my questions now?
Yeah, Kojo. Actually, I haven't seen. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. So, Doc, thank you very much for the section. I have 2 questions. In fact, I had like 4 questions. You've already responded to 2 of them already because Ravi delayed in calling me. The first question, on the field, one of the field, you said there was salinity. Were you able to trace any correlation between the salinity levels and the infestation levels?
Oh, no.
But then could there be a possibility that that could influence the incident or the abundance of the insect on the field?
Well, instead, well, I can't say that should be another research entirely, but I know the only thing I didn't have to this, the only point I didn't have to this is the influence of beneficial plants. I think I left that out.
Okay.
Yes, I left that part out, the influence of beneficial plants. In the upland rice field, where there are no floods, they usually intercrop with the Celosia species, the flamingos and the other species. I've forgotten the name. Celosia species, which is the common shocker we eat down south here. So I asked the farmers and I asked them why they do that, why they intercrop with Celosia. But they told me that they're only trying to maximize the time because, like I said, they depend only on the rain for planting. So once they have their rice, they bring in the Celosia. So, but from my own observation, which is another objective, I observed that there were lots of beneficial insects. You have predators, parasitoids hovering around this plant. So probably it was one of the factors that influenced the low incidence of rice stem borers in the upland rice field. Yes. So also the same thing too with Igbogun, which is the mangrove swamp. They also intercrop, and their reason too was to maximize the planting time because of the rain. But I feel it should be a research that people should, more research needs to be done in that regard, because in Vietnam, I'm aware that a lot like Britodojo in I think 2019 reported that all rice plants that have strips around them, sesame flowers and the likes, had higher yield compared, and they had lower incidence of rice stem borer compared to other ones. So when I saw celosia in the field, I was like, okay, maybe this is also a factor, but it's open to further research.
Okay, I asked that question because you know the impact of climate change on our agriculture production. And so looking at all those stresses like flood, like salinity, these are key stresses that are most of the time exacerbated by climate change. So I would have expected a sort of a relationship established between these, among these factors, and the insights that inform farmers as to which agronomic practices they can take to reduce the impact, their incidence on their farms. Maybe, as you said, that could be explored in the rest of your study.
Yes.
I was going to ask about the molecular aspect, but I think in your response to Ravi, you already made an insinuation to that, which means you'll be taking that into consideration. So that help us to genetically tell as to what influenced the feeding behavior of these insects on certain times of the year. My last question, maybe, yes, for the night to me. What about, yes, how did you get the insect? Did you just follow the season or inoculated the field with these insects so that you sit back and then study how they spread, how they plate across the field, and then study the abundance and the insects?
Okay, your network is breaking, but I'll try to rephrase. I will try to repeat that. Did you ask about the insects in the field, or you come again?
Yes, so I was asking when you study just the natural occurring insect on the field as a result of the rice plantation, or you intentionally inoculated the field with the insect, with the stem borers?
No, it was an open field. It was an open field research. There was no inoculation. It was the naturally occurring situation we recorded.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a good work, and I think the findings will be communicated properly to the farmers so that it can help in their practices.
Yeah, we did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, any further questions? If there are no more questions, I think we can, and I see Kozo raising a hand again.
Oh, sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay. Okay, yeah, okay, I got it. So if there aren't any questions, then I'll hand over the probably Dr. Anu can conclude it. So from my end, like it was like great presentation. So it's a very nice study. Thank you, Dr. Adebayo, for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
So I hand out the this thing to Dr. Anu.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for anchoring for facilitating the question and answer session. And I also want to thank everyone for joining this session. Dr. Fodeli, we recognize your presence. Thank you very much for joining. And we thank everyone for joining this session. Dr. Adewaye, that was a very beautiful presentation. And I'm not in agriculture, but you've actually, how can I say, that you made me to love the research relating to rice and pears and agriculture in general. So very good presentation. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining and for your patience. At the initial stage, we're having technical issues, but as we progress, it became balanced and normalized. Thank you very much for your patience for this presentation. Thank you all. So see you next month as we end the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.